In the White House, President Eisenhower signs the proclamation that makes Alaska's entry into the Union official, nearly 92 years after Lincoln's Secretary of State bought the territory from the Russian Tsar for $7 million.
I just want to give a shout out before the show starts to all the sponsors, all the local businesses that have been coming through to help us out and get this thing started. Thank you to you guys.
Total Truck Accessory Center. Go check them out at 7700 Homer Drive. They're your one-stop shop for canopies, spray-in bed liners, LED light bars, and more. Total Truck.
TheTreehouseAK.com. Located at 341 Boniface Parkway. They're your all-in-one cannabis and CBD store. Ask the bartender today what the strain of the day is to get your 10% off.
Lawn Pro AK, your year-round professional property maintenance. Cutting lawns, but not cutting quality. Hit them up at lawnproak.com.
Double Shovel Cider Company, located off of Arctic and 58th. Handcrafted Alaskan-made cider. They also got a tap room downtown on the corner of 5th and E. Check them out, doubleshovelcider.com.
Anchortown Dogs, located across from the 4th Avenue Theater in front of the historical building. Look for the blue and gold umbrella. Get yourself a legit reindeer dog.
Tailored Restoration, helping Alaskans restore their dreams. Voted #1 in the state since 1972. Water restoration, fire restoration, remodeling, cleaning, anything that you have to do with your home, inside and outside, give those guys a call or check out tailoredrestoration.com. They know what it is now.
Yeah, it's just the lone call today.
Yeah, went full singular.
The solo lead bull.
Looks like you guys were calling a little bit ahead of me.
Oh, we were.
The pre-call.
That was cool on Instagram. Whoever posted that, I think it was a story, right? That they were out with the double shovel, and they're like, "Oh, I finally figured out what the caribou call was."
Yeah, yeah.
I think he said he had to listen 3 or 4 times before he figured it out.
Yeah.
That's impressive that he actually put the 2 and 2 together. And
well, it made me realize that we have a lot of our own lingo and things that we say that maybe people have never heard of, and they don't really know what we're talking about.
Oh yeah.
You know, I was just like, it was really windy the other day, and my kids speak like I speak, you know, because I say all these things, and my son's like, "Oh, the winds of the shat. The winds of the shat are coming through." And that was a term that my brother and I made up on a moose float because we were by like the Chattanooga, and the winds were just making it so the raft was pretty much going upriver. And we're like, man, the winds of the shat, you know, and then it just became a thing. So every time it's windy, anytime we're like, oh, you know, even my wife would be like, oh, the winds of the shat.
Yeah,
you know it.
It's like where Mama keeps the peanut butter, you know.
Yeah, and I can relate it to like hockey lingo.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
and that's its own very unique. You know, the boys are buzzing. You know, tummy sticks and all this. Like, what are you guys talking about? You know,
got some rink rest.
Full code lingo.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, today we wanted to do something a little bit different. We want to kind of give everyone a heads up on all the planned activities that we got going on this summer, all the different family trips we got planned, solo trips we got planned, and kind of give people an update on what we have planned. Of course, there'll be unplanned things that go down, and you know, suicide runs and things of that nature that just happen, or something cool gets brought up, and you go from plan B to plan C. But you go into the summer with, you know, somewhat of a structure of, you have these trips for sure lined up, or, you know, you have an annual, you do kind of like, you know, the Gocana or something like that. And so kind of give people an idea of what the type of things that we will be doing, and, you know, give people maybe the how-to, you know, where we're doing it, and if people want to do the same thing, because there's so much to do and you can't do it all. And some are so short, you know, you want to plan it and still be, loose and not be so structured as, Brandon, before you told me, like last summer, you just had every single weekend something planned, done.
Yeah. It was very well structured and everything got executed. But I almost couldn't even remember everything that I did unless I went back and looked at my phone and the photos and the dates. And I'm like, oh yeah, we did that trip, or oh yeah, we did that hike. And I'm like, it took a little bit away from, you're like, get this trip done and on to the next one. And you forget about it before it's even over almost. And
you didn't have a time to let it soak.
No, none.
Yeah.
And like I said, it was a great eventful summer, even, COVID going on. It didn't stop us at all. But that point that it just felt like it went by so fast, and they all do. But I don't know. I felt like it wasn't maybe the right move. Like maybe structure a few things out, stuff you're going to lock in and do, holidays, things of that nature, but to have some leniency in your preparation and what you're going to do, and have some things open so when your buddy or a couple or, somebody comes into town randomly, it's like, oh, let's go do this, or go to Homeboy's cabin, or go do this fishing trip because the weather's good. It's like, if you're locked into everything, you're not even available to do that stuff.
Yeah.
So
then you're disappointing whoever you had a plan with already,
Yeah.
It can be a bit of a whirlwind for sure. And when you plan it out like that,
whirlwind. Yep.
and you don't add any don't have room for spontaneity, it can kind of drag a little bit. It becomes like more work. But when you allow some spontaneity and flexibility on changing trips, it makes the summer kind of go smoother for sure. And especially if you're a weekend warrior, just work, go. If you have weekday flexibility or can take vacation and stuff, it really can break it up and make it more enjoyable.
Yeah, I think, man, trying to get away from going out only on the weekend is a really good move. Or even like you were telling me, you want to do a Sunday, Monday.
Yep.
Change your days off, which would be really cool. Everyone's coming back to town. You're going out. You're going to have the river or the trail, to yourself and your family. And if you could pull that off, that's the go-to move.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. Or 410s or something.
Yeah. Yeah, we discussed that at work with the staff. A crew tried to do it last summer, but it wasn't what it was cracked up to be. And so this summer I kind of looked at all my vacation time, and I'm like, I can just pull off a Monday, Tuesday here and there and get my weekend started later, and then try to hit that, those areas, like you said, Daniel, when folks are coming back, from their weekends. So
yeah, a little envious of sometimes the slope boys that have the 2 weeks off and they can just go all week to the opener of this or that, and you got to go back to work. But then when the 2 weeks up and they got to go back to work,
you miss a lot of stuff, and you miss a
know
lot
that,
of time
wouldn't
with
you?
your family. Yeah, it's hard. It's a hard life to live, but it's really nice when you're home for those 2 weeks and getting to spend genuine time with your kids. You're not in a rush. You can go out and do these cool adventures on your own timetable.
Yeah.
I always figure that other avid outdoorsmen or folks that just like to get out there down in the States where their seasons are longer, clear my throat, they're weekend warriors too. There's a lot of folks that work Monday through Friday, and they're kind of in the same boat, but it's different up here because of the season. Our summer is, well, we stretch it out to 6 months, but it ain't 6 months. It's really like 4, but we do our activities as if it's still summer, right?
Yeah.
Where most folks, I think, it would start getting that cold that they wouldn't want to go out or it'd be too early. But our weekend warrior situation, I think, is there's more pressure because the season is just short.
Yep.
Versus a guy who can do it like 9 months a year and be like, I don't have to go out and do that fishing trip this week, and the trout will be there next time.
Yeah.
For us, the fish are only running at a certain time.
There's a season within the season.
Yeah. There's only if you're trying to target certain things and catch good weather, all the stuff, all the variables and factors that go into planning a trip, like everything's like pinched down. Yep. And so you try to go into it without putting the pressure on yourself, but it's there. It's just there, and you can't help it because time is short. with
Yeah,
it.
you get these short windows if you're a harvester. So, morel mushrooms, blueberries, any type of vegetation, different types of fish, animals. Like everyone's kind of doing that same thing. You have that short window to get it done.
Absolutely. Yep. Time is of the essence.
So let's just jump right into it and maybe come do like a little round table here where we're saying what we got going on, like what's the first planned trip you got, and then we'll have Jackie tell us what he's got, and we'll just go kind of in a round. And some of the trips we're actually doing together as families or as, friends.
Yep.
So what's the first thing? As of right now, we are recording in mid-April, but I believe this episode won't come out until mid-May. So it's right about the height of that. So let's start off with maybe things that we got going on in May.
That's a good idea. The summer process of your scheduling almost kind of starts after, all of us put in for hunting permits. I think we've made, that a well-known fact here. And then you start kind of figuring things out around that. And so fast forward to May here. I know one of the things that we're doing as a group, which is not quite like a weekend warrior thing, is a Saturday. We were going to go do the Wild Sheep Foundation together, which I'm looking forward to that. That's a guy's trip. It's out in Palmer. We'll load up, carpool out there. That'll be a fun event. Go chop it up with the other fanatics that are into all the stuff that we're into, and that'll be fun. The next thing after that is Mother's Day weekend. For me personally, Mother's Day weekend actually used to be a huge summer seasonal event that I used to do with my family growing up with my mom. We used to love, going out to Finger Lake Campground, and we'd set up shop, and there'd be like 30, 40 people there that weekend back in the day, and gotten a little bit away from that. My wife likes to spend the day with her mom, and she's not exactly into all that. So that was something that it's on my radar, but it would normally be like a big outing, a camping trip, maybe early fishing trip, something like that. But I think we're just going to let the mom decide what she wants to do there.
Now, there's a tricky situation with that because when you say mom, there's
multiple moms
that have different ideas of what they want to do for that day. So trying to balance that out.
Yeah.
And what I've come to try to do on that Mother's Day is like, why don't you go with your mom and do whatever you two want to do? And a lot of times my mom is out of town still. They're like snowbirds, so she won't be back. So it's like, you do whatever you want to do unless you want to do something. Obviously you do the breakfast and all that stuff for the mom. But any or most moms are pretty big into gardening and getting the flowers ready and the garden ready for the year. So they're going to Bell's or going wherever to get their seeds and all their stuff and
planters.
You stay home with the kids and let them go do their brunch and their flower getting. And
we should grow some starters for them in the farms.
That's a good idea.
Be cool.
Yeah. I'm sure Alexa could give you a list of things that over the years and years of doing it, you learn like what really grows best in our garden, in our yard, and things that really are successful and like what we like or what the kids like. Yeah, that'd be cool.
It's actually kind of a big deal. I mean, every person that's got a place where you can grow something in your garden or a little spot at your house, it seems like, I know that's something that my wife and her mom and my mom love to do. That's a huge annual thing. And you're right. You said it right on the head. Mother's Day weekend is like the start of it. You get them their gift card. They go to Bell's. They get their stuff. Later that afternoon, it gets warmer. Their hands are in the soil already, and they're ripping into it. So that's a good point. I didn't think about that, but that's a huge a seasonal start. That's super important because you got to get started early too, right?
Yeah.
Takes our stuff quite a while to get rooted and up out of there. So
you have to be on it here. We got that short growing season.
Exactly. And it seems like it's going to be a little cooler maybe this time around, unless, it gets real warm here in the next week or two and starts breaking things up good. But we got a later start than normal. So I think they're going to be getting things started a little later.
Yeah.
So,
well, speaking about May, I think the last few years you've kind of been getting me out to go
Yeah.
looking for black bears, and I'm actually excited to go do a little bit more of that with you and help you out, and go to some of these spots that you've shown me, to go just even glass and hang out and just kind of get out. It's getting warmer, get out there and do a little glassing. Now I know last year around this time we did that brown bear peninsula hunt.
Yeah.
Is that something that's on the books again?
Yeah. Well, from the years prior, I planned last year's like too early. If you remember, the thaw wasn't quite what I expected. So in this year, I would just kind of monitored the winter. So looking at how cold, like we had long stretches of really cold weather this year. So I just kicked everything back like 2 weeks this round as far as planning that. And so if we're talking about like the schedule, I took some notes, and I got a full list of the email I'm about to send the boss man of like 20 plus days off of work. I'm taking this summer and hunting season. Anyway, I do have something booked for the 16th through the 18th, which is that lake hunt.
Oh, so a Sunday through Tuesday.
You got it.
Looking at the calendar.
Yeah, I booked that Monday, Tuesday night, or Sunday, Monday night. Come home, Tuesday late afternoon, and then go back to work Wednesday. So that was something that I had booked, and I actually have back-to-backs. I would like to do that, and then I was hoping to do a Prince William Sound the following weekend, where I took a Monday off as well. So just trying to take advantage of the time, and there'll be the individual glassing sessions at night like we did last year, where we kind of buzzed out of town just for, a few hours, and just enough to throw a pack on and your camo gear and just play the part, bring a few beers and some binos. And yeah.
Because you get itchy. You're starting to get itchy now. Like,
big time.
Let's get out there and do something.
Yeah, I just posted yesterday my story there. I was out riding with the family, and I brought my scope.
That's right.
Yeah, and I did find a set of tracks too up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, coming right out of right where the willows kind of end. That's kind of where the bear's den right there. I mean, I'm really hoping they're bear tracks. I mean, they're pretty noticeable. So,
Are both those hunts, those bear hunts, are those spot and stock style, or
pretty much? Okay. Yeah, definitely. I'm not a baiter. I like to just spot them and get after them, and if you can get a shot on them, cool. If not, nothing against bear baiting. I'd actually love to try that. I've never done it, but so.
And last year on the Prince William Sound one, you and Eric got bears?
We did.
Okay.
We did. I saw lots of bears too. Yeah, we messed up our first night and could have got 2 monsters, and we kind of blew it up and realized what we could have done better, and was a learning experience. But we ended up getting a couple of decent bears out of there.
How would you butcher up that meat?
How did I butcher it up?
Yeah, butcher and process.
Well, I ended up actually bringing both bears. What did we do? We skinned them out there the day we were coming home, and then I brought all the meat on the bone home together, and then I deboned everything off for grind, and then I just saved back straps for the bears, and then I ended up turning all that meat into sausage, and then I still have like the 2 really nice strips of backstrap that I was kind of saving for a special occasion for a couple Huckleberry, couple guys that want to get down and eat it. I have a recipe in mind that I'd like to do, and if it's successful, I want to throw it on the website and stuff.
And that breakfast sausage you gave me, man, that was amazing.
Oh, you finally had some?
Oh, well, you had some. You cooked some for us, but yeah,
I did. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
Yeah, I tell people all the time it's the closest thing to Jimmy Dean's I've ever had.
Shout out
to Indian Valley. Their spicy breakfast sausage with black bear.
Yeah.
Oh man, dude.
That's actually a really good comparison. It does taste just like the Jimmy Dean pork.
Yeah. I fed some to my cousin when we were out a few weeks ago, and he's like, if you didn't tell anybody, they wouldn't know the difference.
Yeah.
And I was like, perfect. But you do got to tell people when they're eating bear, I think. I think it's just fair to do that. But anyway, so yeah, those two hunts are on the horizon. The first hunt is a brown bear. However, there are black bears as well. Mm-hmm. You remember on our way out last year, we saw that nice black bear grazing on the grass in the sun. I mean, I happen to think that general area
Well, it's no secret. I mean,
yeah, I mean, it's just there's
people
a lot
are cruising Kenai Lake and these lakes down there in
Yeah.
that area
Yep.
and looking for these bears coming out, and it's a pretty popular spot.
Yeah,
you know?
it's no secret there. You know, the area we were hunting we saw mostly brown bears, which tells me that the black bears are probably pushed out of that general area. But I have seen, other hills where I've seen a grizzly and a black bear on the same hill in 5 minutes. So it's not to say that they're not close, but anyway, don't want to get too off target here. But yeah, so those 2 spring hunts. I talked to Eric yesterday, kind of put the bug in his ear on the hunt thing, and he didn't want to like commit right away or anything. I just wanted to get his bug in his ear, and I know Jack and Jake are going to be getting out depending on scheduling and stuff. So that's something that I really love, that Prince William Sound black bear hunt. I know a lot of guys do it. Was super popular back in the day, got shut down, opened back up by registration. So been doing it the last like 6 years.
It's so fun to climb around out there in those hills and those. I mean, I wouldn't really say mountains, but to get up in there and get up above tree line a little bit, and it's just beautiful.
Well, yeah, you can go drop pots, and midday if you want to just go and drop a line for some rockfish or something, you can go do that. And then it gets later, you can go cruise around the shore and watch the hills. And yeah, I mean, it's just a fun recreational activity.
Yeah.
And then seeing bears is really cool. And then if you get a bear, that's just the icing on the cake. It's not really like going out there because I really got to have this black bear in my freezer. I mean, it's more or less just getting out there, and it's just finally warm enough, where you can go out on the back deck with a pair of binos, and you could.
It's a reason to pull out all the gears,
all the fun stuff. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, as for me, I know that I've kind of got you rousted up on that. What about you, Jack? I know you got the boat and.
Yeah, we have our southeast trip planned. We go down there for steely. So
what's the date on that again?
We're gonna go on May 2nd.
May 2nd.
A little bit late.
Are you flying out right after we do the banquet Saturday then?
The next morning, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yep. So Dad and I and Jake's gonna come down. I think Daniel's gonna try to come.
Yeah.
And then the crew that we've been going with for 20 plus years. It'll be nice to have some new younger blood in camp. I'm definitely the youngest by a lot, so it'll be cool to have Jake there and hopefully Daniel. So we'll go. We'll wet some flies down there. I always enjoy that. Hopefully we're not post holing too much, but with the weather, how much snow we've gotten this year and how late spring's going, I think we'll be post holing a lot. And then it's fun to watch otter mating season down there. So a lot of
sweet.
A lot of intensity going on in the river.
What's that sound they make?
Oh, it's not good. Yeah. It sounds kind of horror film-ish.
Maybe we could find it.
Yeah, you kind of, the first reaction is like this shriek, and you kind of like want to go help them, or help her. But yeah, they're pretty aggressive. It's also really cool to watch them kind of stalk the steelies. So they'll be kind of cruising by real slow, go swimming downstream. They'll spot where the fish are, stay wide, and then they'll get out of the water and come back upstream and go full speed down and take one out.
These are
big steelhead, 30 plus inch fish.
And you see them pulling them out of the water?
Yeah. And they're like the size of Brooks Ranger, just not tall.
Yes.
About the same length. A big River Otter down there is a monster. So
he can get his teeth around a fish.
A lot of cool nature stuff, down there. And then we don't get to be around spruce very often up here in Anchorage. So it's really cool to see the different forest, and it's really easy to get lost in that forest. So bringing a GPS, that inReach is super important. Making sure you have your old waypoints and everything marked. So we'll go do that. And then I don't think I have anyone down there to surf with this year. And, I kind of need that other person to motivate me to go surfing instead of fishing. But hopefully one of those years like Gideon comes down with us or Paul, and we can go out and surf graveyards there. After that, I'll come back here and probably wait for some glass days in the Sound.
Yep.
and I have a new shrimp pot puller by then. It'll be past April 15th, so shrimp season will be open.
Nice.
So we'll test our new pot puller. It's a Prawn Star. We got it out of Canada, and it's kind of a newer company, so we'll see how that works.
Yeah.
The Prawn Star, wasn't that the name of one of those boats?
It was,
Yeah,
yeah,
it was.
yeah, for the Homer King Derby.
That's cool. The Prawn Star.
Yeah, so we'll test that out, and just I like waking up in those quiet mornings out there in the Sound. So even if we don't get any shrimp, and I'm sure we will get some shrimp and some rockfish, but even if we weren't harvesting, just going out that time of year, picking some backcountry ski stuff would be cool. There's a lot of access out there in the boat to get some untouched spring skiing in. So I'm definitely
never thought about that.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Yeah, so I'll definitely bring my skis, and hopefully whoever joins me wants to ski. And then I know that Jake and I want to go do some bow hunting out there. So we probably won't take it too serious, just kind of enjoy ourselves those quiet mornings, but, try to spot some bears. And we're seeing a lot more black bears almost on every trip year round out there now. Year round, I don't go out there in the winter very often. So between, May and September, October, we usually see black bears. So yeah, it should be pretty fun May.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Dan, you'll probably be going pretty hard on the hot dog stand too, right? As far as
May's
weekends and stuff.
Yeah, I get done with my school district contract the end of April there, and then in May it's trying to get the whole business just kind of running smoothly, and so that I can take these days off to go do these trips. To make sure all the employees remember all the things that need to happen and the order, and just making sure everything's on top of it. So really, my main trip in May has always been our first family camping trip, and that's like our Memorial Weekend trip. The kids are just got done with school, and what we've been doing the last, at least a decade, I want to say, we've been going to the Anchor River Beach, and we get a big group of us, a family, and I go down there with the all the king set up, because the opening of the Kings is on that Friday night. And we bring, we're tent campers, and so we'll go camp on there, and I'll bring the 4-wheeler and the other 4-wheeler and the kites, and it's such a really cool family trip. It's not like it's not like a real campsite. You just kind of go pull over wherever you want. You set up your own things. We eat, and the kids are learning to drive the 4-wheeler, and we're up and down. And then as the tides come in, we're fishing for the kings that are coming in. And what's really cool is you can camp right there, and literally the fishing is right there, so you don't even have to leave if you don't want to.
Right down to the water.
So you can go there, and there's plenty of space, so kids can whip around those big king hooks and things like that, and not worry about catching somebody. And sometimes we'll ride the 4-wheeler all the way down to the mouth there where it's coming in, and see if we can't catch one of those kings. And we've been pretty successful. We've gotten one or two at least every single year. One of the people in our group, and sometimes it's the kids. I think Cisco's boy actually got the king last year, and it's always like, all right, well, we're gonna eat half this, as a group, and we'll cook it up right there that night, and then whoever caught it gets to take the rest home. But it's a really fun trip, and we'll go on long 4-wheeler trips up towards Homer, and there was like a cool beached whale last year. Not that that's cool, but it was cool to see.
You don't see very often.
Yeah, it was cool for the kids to see, and the kids could run around there, and it's not it's mellowed out a lot. It's not like party zone. It's mostly families that are all camping there, and people are aware. People aren't, you might get the one guy that's flying with his 4-wheeler, 80 miles an hour down the beach, but there's plenty of space there where a lot of times they'll be closer to the water. And then the tide comes in and the tide goes out, and that's always fun to go out there and walking around and check the tide pools, and the kids, try to collect whatever, crabs or whatever they can catch. And it's just a really, really relaxing time. It's a long drive from Anchorage, but it's worth it. And people bring their dogs, and sometimes we, some of the boys, the older guys, will actually hike up to the river and go in there, and you can bring your bikes, and there's just so much to do, and it's a great experience, and just relaxing. And you got, the 3-day weekender, and I try to leave Thursday to kind of beat the crowd and kind of get one of the spots that I like better. And then sometimes we'll leave Sunday. I think last year we ended up staying because it was so beautiful. We just were like, man, we can't leave.
Yeah.
It's just so nice, you know.
I think the wind, it was blowing pretty hard, and then it died down that day.
Yeah.
I think, too, that weekend.
Yeah. It definitely gets windy out there. Obviously, you're just really exposed, you know, on the beach right there.
Yep.
But that accounts for cool. You know, there's lots of eagles and a lot of kite flying and, you know.
No bugs.
And exactly. No bugs.
That is one thing that's nice about that. The wind can be a pain in the ass, but it just, no mosquitoes.
Yeah, that's a big plus.
They can be the worst that time of year, so.
It's pretty nice that time of year too, down there on either an Anchor Point, Deep Creek, or Homer.
Nanilchik, yeah.
You know, kind of like that. The secret is like get out for halibut then, because it's good then. You know, if you can go limit out in your halibut and be done for the summer.
Yeah, and then you see people actually land fishing from there. And actually, I want to say that Joe Peters brought his boat, and sometimes the Peters brothers go out there and they'll bring one of their boats, and we'll just launch it right there. Kind of like Kelsey was saying on the Nanilchik deal, where they got the tractor that'll push you out there, and you're just literally, you know, quarter mile from shore, so you can still see the camp, and you're just trolling, you know, right there, and catching kings and halibut and things like that. And it's, you know, if someone brings a boat, that's just another added cool element.
Yep, for sure.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that's like the start of the camping season. I have been going earlier, actually. I want to say we went to the Russian River the weekend before, which was really cool. There's like no one there.
Yeah.
You know, and it's pretty nostalgic for me. You know, we grew up going to the Russian River, but now it's like you got to reserve it.
Yeah.
You know, you can't get in there.
Yeah.
But it's really nice to go really early, like in May or after the season, like October, you know, September. And you can just choose whatever nice campground you want to go to, and you bring the bikes, and you cruise around, and you go hike around and walk, and it's just more laid back, not so busy, not so many motorhomes and people all over, and get you out and check the gears and all that.
The last 4 years, we've been kicking off the family camping season the first week of May with a big group of other families going down to Seward for the Pink Cheeks Triathlon. And that's been really fun. Last year, they ended up canceling the triathlon, but the beach campground was still open, so we all still went. And hopefully we get into that. If we go, it'll be the weekend after we head to the southeast. But I really enjoyed that triathlon. It's a lot of fun, and it supports the local community there.
Yeah, so it's a really great area anywhere. You know, Nanilchik, Clam Gulch. I mean, growing up, Clam Gulch was our thing on that weekend. Or any tide, you know, when we used to be able to clam, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
And, you know, you get some huge tides and really huge clams. And then as we grew into teenagers, we moved to Nanilchik Beach. You know, Kelsey's stomping grounds over there, and that was like a party.
Yeah.
I mean, that was, you know, that was our 18 to 26-year-old, you know, no one's married, no one's kids, we're just raging, you know.
Everyone's partying, but then you fish during high tide and then go back to partying.
Yeah. So it's like, high tide's at midnight. We're going to go fish for 2 hours, and then we'll come back and finish this bottle.
Yeah. Fire's still blazing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then as you know, people started getting married and kids started to come along, like, well, we're not going to go to Nanilchik with the rowdy crew. So we just kind of went down to the next, you know, Deep Creek, and then now we're at Anchor River, and I'm sure in like 5 years we'll be all in Homer.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And there's a big family group, you know, Thompson and the Seversons and all those guys all go to Homer.
That's what we do. We go to Homer on that weekend, and we go out halibut fishing.
Yeah.
It's really nice. A lot of tide pulling.
Yeah, perfect weekend for that.
Yeah, you got to make those camping reservations so far in advance to get a good spot.
It's not like what it used to be. We were kids. We used to do this big family camping trip to down Skilac Lake Road to Hidden Lake Campground.
Oh yeah, Hidden
Lake. You ever been to that campground?
Mm-hmm.
Back in like 95, I think, mid 90s. They like redid the whole campground. I mean, they paved it. They made it nice, and that was really awesome.
It's super funny, just to break you up. You
Go ahead.
go in on like the worst road in the world. It is
My God.
classically that road from Upper Ski Lac is awful. And then you get to the campground and it's paved.
Yeah.
You're like, whoa, what's going on here? This is crazy.
If you can make it this far,
yeah,
Exactly.
you got some luxury to drive around a loop.
If you didn't have to change your trailer tire,
Oh man, we've changed many a boat trailer tires on that. I'm sure you guys have too. That used to be such a cool trip. And maybe like 12 years ago, we went up there like on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
And all the campsites were reserved. And it was like the first year that they went online.
Yeah.
And I didn't know. And it just soured my grapes for that campground like ever since. And it's kind of unfortunate that it's done that for me in several other campgrounds in the state. And I shouldn't shed negative light on that. I mean, it's great that people are spending the money and they're reserving the campgrounds and the money's going towards the maintenance to keep those campgrounds alive. And so it's a good thing. But the days of like first come, first serve and getting to a campsite on a Friday night after work, like it's not as easy as it used to be. They're all kind of reserved. And so many of good memories with family, extended family and friends that have come on trips to Hidden Lake. If you ever get a chance, best time to go out there is like midweek. Take a couple days off on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and go check out Hidden Lake. It's a beautiful campground, great hiking, good boating. Again, it's paved, so you can bring bikes and skateboards and I don't know what are the kids riding today.
Oh no, the
one wheels and electric scooters and whatever. But if you like, bring a kayak or a paddleboard or something, it's got a beautiful little front bay there and great amphitheater for fires, and it's a cool little spot. So when we talked about Memorial Day, I felt like I had to drop a little memory of love on Hidden Lake, because that was like a spot we went to for so many years and so many memories. And anyway, so I'd throw that out there. I love that place.
Well, speaking about those spots and things, and I think last year, we'll get into June here in a minute.
Yeah.
But I ran into Trent when at Quartz Creek, and we'll get into that. But
I was
speaking
with
of Trent, you were with me, yeah.
Yeah, we were, yeah.
So we ran into Trent Taylor, the owner of Tailored Restoration. He's one of our big sponsors. He's a lifetime Alaskan. I mean, he's basically has a business that allows people to call him, and if you have some sort of water damage or fire damage or anything like that, he'll come help you out. If you got some carpets you need to be clean, or you're doing a full remodel, they're going to come remodel your stuff. They've done some of Jack's stuff. I've helped him. He's come to my house and done some things. I got actually some projects lined up that I want to give him a call. And there's pretty much nothing they can do. I mean, you have pet accidents, down trees in your yard, overflowing toilets, anything like that. They have an emergency response number. You can call them anytime. They're in Anchorage, they're in Wasilla, they're in the Mat-Su, they're in Fairbanks. I think pretty much they'll go anywhere on the road system for any type of repairs or remodeling you want to do. Their website is tailoredrestorationalaska.com. The Anchorage phone number is 344-1239. And for the Fairbanks boys, 455-1239. tailoredrestorationalaska.com. So I ran into, so what we've been doing, talking about, having to reserve things, and for people that are wanting to go to reserve things, I believe the website is recreation.gov. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And the way that works is you need to decide what campground you want to be at. I mean, so it takes a lot of forethought and planning. You want to know first of all, what camp area you want to go to, whether it's Russian River or Trail River or Quartz Creek. And then, keep an eye out on what spots you really like. You want to be near the lake, or you like it back over here by the creek a little bit better. Take notes of those actual campsite numbers. And I want to say 6 months prior to the date that you want to reserve that is when it opens. So, for example, what I've been doing now, this is pro tip, a lot of times, so 6 months from when I want to do the opener of the Russian River and the Kenai for the Reds. I mean, that's our second really big family trip. We have been camping on the river a lot and taking the raft and all that, but I find it a lot of times easier when I'm getting off of work on a Friday. If I already have a camp spot reserved at Quartz Creek or Russian River or any of those campsites around that area, it's really nice to pull in there late on Friday, set up your camp, eat, have some beers, and then the next day go hit the river and come back to the campsite instead of having to load the full raft and all that stuff, which we do that as well, and it's just a little bit more work to do that.
Different kind of
so
trip.
for the first trip, it's nice to go ahead and reserve that. So what I've done now is I try to reserve it from Thursday to Sunday.
Yeah.
So then I have it the whole time. I can go pull up Thursday, or sometimes what happens if, let's say, you don't have it till Friday and you get there and the people before are still there, and then you're just kind of waiting around, So this year I ended up getting 2 Quartz Creek spots, one for my family, and I try to get the biggest ones, like the ones that allow like 4 vehicles, because they're real sticklers on that kind of stuff.
Yep.
The campground host is going to come around and be like, well, this is actually a 2 vehicle, and you're sitting here with the motorhome and a truck and a trailer and all this stuff. So you learn, and, I try to get a bigger spot than I think, so that, you're going to invite family or, another family to come with you.
Homie's going to come through.
Yeah. So this year what I did was I teamed up with my brother, and we're like, all right, well, let's get these 2 spots next to each other, and they're all pretty spaced out, but there's still the woods in between where the kids can run back and forth. And then that way we just have the spot reserved, and they do, as a notice, they do keep some of the spots first come, first serve. And all those campgrounds, there's a certain number of spots. I don't know what the percentage is of spots that are first come, first serve, because they get super popular.
Right.
Yeah.
And people are booking those from all over the world,
Right.
to come to those
big time.
pristine campsites, and that's probably one of the only trips where I actually do a campground, because there's a lot of rules in those campgrounds. You got to be quiet by 10, and
Cooler's got to be in the truck,
yeah,
closed tight.
yeah, and
for
so
bear.
The outdoor activity at those spots are usually crowded.
Yep.
So, you're fishing the Russian River. It's, combat fishing.
yes. But it's it's there's some nostalgia. It's something that we did growing up all the time, and of course it's gotten busier as there's more people and more excitement, and it's kind of cool that now you can reserve it. At first I was against it. I was like, oh, that's messed up. We should be able to just pull up and get a spot, But with so many people, and it kind of helps you plan, that trip, and that's one of those trips that's like set.
Yeah.
Like every year, the opener of the Russian, we're coming down to fish the Russian on a night, and then also raft the river and kind of get away from some of the people and go fishing there. And it's just really nice to have your spot reserved, because we've had many times where, like 4th of July, we decided to go to Seward or something, and there's not one spot.
Yeah, you don't
Anywhere.
have any
At all.
options.
Oh, dude, I had to go all the way back to Ptarmigan, I want to say it's called.
Ptarmigan Creek.
Ptarmigan Creek, and luckily we got one spot at like 1 a.m.
Yeah.
The kids are just like,
Wiped out.
oh man.
Yeah. It's also a little depressing. Like, you go to do the Russian River one, you get on there, and I think it's 5 a.m. Is it 5 or 6? I think it might be 5 a.m. that they go live. So
As far as like the ferry?
reservations.
Oh,
like
gotcha.
6 months in
Oh,
advance.
gotcha. Okay.
Yes.
Anyway, you get up at whatever it is, 5 in the morning, and you go on there to get them, and you fail. You can't get one.
Yeah, they're already reserved, or the
so then
website's
you
bogged down.
Try again the next morning. You try again the next morning, and then you get them, and you go in there, and you go camp, and you drive through the campground, and there's all these no-shows.
Yes.
And
That's
that's
lame.
I just wonder, how many no-shows versus people that actually show. Last year was kind of weird because COVID, but I had 6 days at the Russian River last year, 2 different weeks, and we actually had a third week, but we gave it to some friends. And I was driving around, and half of them were empty. It was COVID, but do they re-release them, or is there a way that you have to announce that you're not coming, or you can't get them next year, kind of like with hunting? But it would be cool if that was managed in a way that optimized the usage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially for the guy that just drifts through there. If someone ain't there to take the
Man,
spot.
it's really annoying to go in there and be looking for a spot, and it's just like reserve, but there's no one there, and it's literally 1 a.m, and like, whoa,
We're just pulling in.
Yeah, and you got to, and then you get the knock on the, from the camp host, and it's like, hey, you're not this person, and you have to explain like, well, I wasn't going to drive back to Anchorage, like I'll pay,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It's gotten weird. I mean, it's just one of those things that we have to, or not that we have to, we've been adapting to. Those of us that grew up here our lives, and you would pull in there, and the campground was like almost a 4x4 trail to get into the campsite, and it was an unmaintained. There might be a fire pit with a dilapidated picnic table, and actually it was the funnest back then.
Yeah.
Now it's all Gucci'd out and clean and nice, but yeah, we just got to get used to that. And I mean, it brings good money to the state and maintaining those areas and those parks, and so
it does have an awesome energy though with all those people out there, especially like on the Russian River. It is just
when it's
fun.
buzzing,
You just walk through the different campground loops, and people are playing different games, and they just have all these different activities that they bring down there year after year and make a routine, and they just are very welcoming, and it's just fun. They're vibrant.
Yeah,
kids running around riding bikes and
all the time.
Big groups.
I remember my dad. We'd pull into the Russian River thing, and when they had just paved that road, and it was the best rollerblading.
Oh man!
Like that was when like rollerblades was hot.
Yep.
And my dad would literally like go and leave me and my brother, and we would rollerblade. That whole way, all the way to whatever Silver Salmon or whatever campground we were, and that was just like the best. Just to go ride that thing and skateboard and just like you said, you bring the bikes and all the different games, and it becomes more than just a fishing trip.
It does.
Yeah, super cool.
And when is the red opener? Is that June 10th?
That's June 10th.
Okay.
June 10th midnight, right?
Yeah. So June 11th, really.
Yeah.
6/11. Okay.
And the real deal boys are out there at midnight ready to
oh man.
ready to rock.
There's
Standing
a lot
in
of
the water.
people out. Yeah, for both reds and bows. Because rainbows have been closed for a while. Well, rainbow and Dolly Varden been closed from the beginning of May through that for spawning. So it's usually pretty good.
Yeah. So June for my family, we're really big into the river and the rafting and fishing, and my son's addicted, and my wife's learning to fly fish. She was ocean fishing girl her whole life, and never did much really river fishing, a little bit of rod and reel style, but I've been trying to get her to fly fish and try to catch some of these bows and dollies, and even catching the salmon with the fly rod is just a little bit more fun, And so then the next couple weekends of June, we will go and camp on the river. And that's like, we're a little bit more prepared. We'll load up, the coolers and the firewood and all the stuff, and hopefully find a spot. It's becoming increasingly more busy and
it is.
More taken and things like that. And they've had to number the spots and put like signs up, and they haven't yet gone to reservation. I'm assuming that eventually it's going to get to that where you're going to have to reserve your corner on the river to go camp.
Yep.
Unfortunately. But just that means just more people are out doing cool things that we've been doing,
Yep.
And not in secret, but maybe without as many people, and people are noticing,
Yeah. Well, more folks have the rafts, the boats, the equipment. They get a buddy's buddy or a buddy who gets them out there for the first time, and they're hooked. And why not? It's fun.
Yeah.
That time frame is so fun. Whether you're a weekend warrior, you're a suicide run on a Tuesday, you get down there and pluck your 3 reds and come back with the report. Got my fish in 17 minutes.
Yeah.
Got them 3 casts.
Yeah. And back to the season thing. I mean, it's such a short little window on that first run that you're going to go. And I don't have a river boat, so to me, I can't really hit the lower unless I'm going with a friend, or the middle. We'll raft the middle too as well, and do the whole thing all the way through gyms and go all the way down to Bings, which is really, really fun.
Yep.
But I mean, we're just river rafting, river rats like all of
Just
June.
on it.
That's like our preferred activity in June for my family.
Let me ask you something about that. So how old would you be comfortable with the kids spending the night? Like what age our kids good spending the night on the Kenai River camping versus like I get it like going in the boat, make sure they can swim but actually camping, because there's all those times when you're camping where you don't have a constant eye on everything that's happening.
Yeah. I started taking my kids out obviously when they knew how to swim. I mean, it's a river, it's dangerous, things happen. At least you want them to have at least somewhat of an ability to get to the shore if something happened. Obviously you're very, very careful when you bring in children. But anywhere, I mean, I want to say, 6 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And normally there's some really good campsites there that the river's not raging right by the beach there. It's like maybe a slow, gradual, not so deep, so that you can, you still got to keep an eye on them. And, obviously there's bears and things around, but at least they're not going to take one misstep and just get swept away, right. From the river. Mm-hmm. And I've gone on solo trips with my older son when he was, 6 and get him going. And then once the wife started to come in and, you got the dog that's on high alert as well.
Yeah.
And we like to go with another family as well. So it's just almost that village, mentality of watching as, maybe the moms go fish and then maybe the kids will go fish and I'll go cook and then maybe I get to go fish,
Yep. The group parenting is nice.
Yeah. You don't get as much fishing in when you go with the family. It's more about getting them going and, getting their snags off and snacks and, dinner time and this is actually another kind of dad tip. So I wanted it to be very fun for my kids. I wanted them to enjoy it. I remember many a times, growing up that I didn't want to go fishing and because my dad, it just wasn't that fun some of the times, And so my thing with them is, as long as the 3 rules, they're being, they're having fun, they're being safe, and they're not complaining. Mm-hmm. They can eat whatever they want. So to them, it's like, it's snack city.
Time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They can, that's when they get to have their root beer and their juices and, and all the stuff. So then it's just whatever you want to do, have it. You don't need to ask. Just get into the Yeti, grab whatever root beer, grab chips. And so it's, to them, they're kind of in control of their own, whenever you want your cup of noodle or your hot dog, and it's just, we don't nag them, I just let them play. This is your place to throw rocks and hit sticks and, do whatever you want, and just be
a kid.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I think that's really, so they really enjoy and look forward to that. I mean, a lot of it, there's plenty of candy and snacks and stuff like that. Yeah. But,
s'mores.
Yeah. On the weekend, that's one of the things that, no rules, just eat it if you want to eat it. Yeah. Stay up as late as you want to stay up. You fall asleep by the fire, Poppy will carry you and put you in the thing. And we're not doing the iPads and the phones and all that. It's like there's more stuff to do than that,
And that's what they remember.
Yeah.
They remember that fun. I feel like, admittedly, I fail sometimes having young children, that sometimes I might just be a little too serious sometimes. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, it's keeping them safe and it's keeping them from getting hurt. And, then you got to remember like, all right, like, they're going to swing sticks around and somebody might get smacked in the face. It's going to happen. Obviously you tell them, hey, be careful. Yeah. And but I sometimes feel like I spend too much energy like harping on them a little. And you saying that, like, reminds me that, let them be kids, man. Yeah. It's okay if they're screaming and they're...
And really the talk is between me and my wife. Like, hey, this is what I want this experience to look like, and I don't want any, like, the normal stuff that goes on. I want this to be special, where it's like, you guys can do pretty much whatever you want as long as you're being safe. Yep. And they know that, so it's exciting to them. It's not like, oh, Dad's dragging us to the river, and we got to sit here and watch him fish. And so and he's learning to oar and do all that stuff. So I taught him how to tie his own hook this winter, and so he's like itching to go with all his stuff and obviously the gear, and we always bring the winter coat, like the winter puffy coat for them, because it just gets cold in the morning and at night. So that's one of the main things. As long as they're not cold and they're not hungry, I mean, there should be no complaining.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think June for us is going to be pretty cool. Jake and I last year started doing the Super Cub targeted Kings trips.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty lucky to have a fishing buddy like that. So we'll go out and
Is it like early June? Like a early June? I mean, the Kings are running all through June.
I'd say the last week of May through the 21st, 23rd is kind of like when we'll go. Now, all the trips I went on, we were skunked, but Jake definitely tore it up when I wasn't there. So hopefully we can reverse the luck. Maybe it's like an odd even year thing. So the odd year is good for me to go, and I'll just take off next year. You know, a little pink, reverse pink salmon right there. So we'll do that. I definitely am going to get out to Resurrection and bike. I like biking from Cooper's back down to Hope. So one of these weekends, you know, we'll have some friends going down to the Kenai to the Russian River. You drive right by that trailhead. So someone dropped me off, and
nice.
Hopefully I find another buddy to ride it with and just do a day trip. I really like that one. And I think it's like one of those things that you just got to make time to do, and it's super rewarding because when you're done, you have all the endorphins. It's like a long run or a killer day hiking. It's super rewarding. So we'll do that. We have Dudes Day.
Yes.
So that'll be June 19th over at Double Shovel. And so Dudes Day is kind of going to be in prep of Father's Day this year. So it's a Saturday before Father's Day. And there'll be all kinds of local sporting good stuff, fishing. So who's all coming? Do we know exactly?
Yeah, well, we got a little bit of a list. So this is going to be one of our live events that Alaska Wild Project is putting in with Side by Side with Double Shovel. And so Dudes Day, and the idea is it's a lot of times it's hard to find a gift for your father or, you know, your husband, who, you know, pretty much buys like we all do as dads. Just if we want it, we're going to go get it. Or, you know, they don't know exactly what brand to get, a fillet knife or whatnot. And so some of the companies that are lined up to go, for example, we have Barney Sports Chalet that's going to be out there. I want to say Alaska Raft and Kayak comes out there. We have some coffee companies that come out there.
Mossy's usually go.
Mossy's.
Full Curl Archery.
And so, and that just kind of gives you an example of all these outdoor businesses and gear-driven businesses that will come out on that day. It's a full day on, you know, June 19th at Double Shovel. And it's inside, and Double Shovel has graciously opened up their entire brewery to people that have their booths in there. And so we will be doing a live podcast that day. It'll probably be a 1 or 2 part series because we're going to want to talk to everyone that's in there, all these other business owners and people that are going to be coming by, and just making a real big event on that 19th. So put it down on the calendar. Moms, dads, if you're looking to talk to some gear specialists and looking for some cool gifts, art, you know, it's endless, and it's only going to grow bigger and bigger as more companies and more people are coming in to be a part of that. And then if you want to be a part of it and you're listening to this and you got something cool going on, like maybe the axe throwing guys, I think they
were there last year. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I think they're on board. So it's just a whole event that you can come in, and it is a family event, so you can bring your kids, and bring them out there, and it's 12 to 8 on Saturday, June 19th. We'll be there doing live podcasts and, you know, selling shirts and hoodies, and everyone else will be selling their stuff and drinking good ciders, and there's food trucks that come out, and it's just a day to go in and maybe get that last minute Father's Day gift, or, you know, check out some products. I want to say Heather's from Heather's Choice
will be there.
We'll be out there. And so it's just a plethora of businesses supporting each other and doing that. And then the next day's Father's Day. So, I mean, my plan is we'll be there all day. And then the next day I go with my dad and my brother on a Kenai float, and we go out there and do a dad's float, you know.
Awesome.
And, so that'll be a good Saturday, and hopefully the weather's nice. So maybe some booths will be inside, some will be outside. You know, that's kind of weather dependent as many things in Alaska. It's going to happen no matter rain or shine or snow.
We're doing it, yeah.
So real big thanks to Double Shovel collaborating with us to make this
open
this live event happen, and hopefully it's the start of many more events that we want to do.
Yeah, the origins of the Dudes Day was pretty cool because Katie and kind of the rest of the crew at the Double Shovel had this ongoing conversation where our girlfriends or wives or moms or sisters were constantly asking other people like, "Oh, what do you think Jack would like?"
Yep.
And we wanted to create a space where all the local businesses could get together, and then those people looking to buy gifts for a dude could come. So it's not for dudes; the gifts are for the dudes. So these people that want to buy gifts for the dudes can just come down and meet the local business owners and see what they're doing and find some cool ideas. And the last one was super successful. Just the public really liked it. So and we usually do them pre-Christmas, but this year we had COVID and weren't able to do it. So it's nice that we're able to do it again for Father's Day.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm always gun ho out of town that weekend, and being one of our first live events that we're actually going to be on the ground on the site with our equipment and doing our thing. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah,
I'm pumped.
So. And it kind of worked out because with the last couple of years for Father's Day weekend, we've been getting together as a big group and doing that Trail River campground. Trail River within Trail River campground, they have an area that is designated for big parties.
Oh, nice.
So it's like a campground within a campground. That's, I mean, I wouldn't say it's private, but it's like gated off. And within that little campground, they have, they have a big gazebo and a big grill, and they have a volleyball thing and a kids playground. And it's like pretty much one loop. And I want to say there's, 10 to 15 sites that you can have for a big group, whether you're a church or Boy Scouts or like we do 10 families. And that's another one of those campsites that's similar to Quartz Creek or these that are all paved. You got the Kenai Lake right there, so you can go out there with your paddle boards or your kayaks, or some of us go fishing, or you hang around there and just bike around and hang out with the family and play tag and do whatever. And
great weekend for that.
Yeah, that sounds incredible.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Is that the only one of its kind, or is there other ones around the state?
Not that I know of. I think Hidden Lake kind of has a little setup, but not where it's like private. It's not really private. What is it?
It's just reserved for big groups.
It's a group site, I guess, is like what it's technically called when you do the reservation of it. And it is very popular in terms of reservation wise, so get on top of that. But it definitely is sweet because you don't have all the public cars racing around through the campsite, and all your kids can kind of run around and bounce around, and they're all kind of consolidated to this like one area. And so that makes it really fun. And if you want to get big groups together, get the big group together for like a meal, a dinner or breakfast or lunch or something, there's that like pavilion type gazebo, huge fire pit, picnic tables, covers. So if it starts raining, you can go up under the cover, get the tunes cranking. People are playing cornhole and volleyball and all that. It is an awesome spot for that. And we missed the
Do we have it reserved? I know it's not luck. Good thing it worked out because we would have not been able to go with the Dudes Day thing.
Yeah.
Did it get pushed back?
It got pushed back to the next weekend.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. So we get to do Dudes Day. And then I'm going to take the family off the Denali with the side-by-side and the four-wheelers, and we're going to go do a camping trip back in there.
The next day after Dudes Day?
Right after, yep. Okay. We're going to take off and go do that thing.
Nice.
Is that Tangled Lakes or where?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, Tangled Lakes or Sweet or, one of those trail systems. It's going to be kind of early. It's going to be around the time that the snow's probably close to fully melted. So depending on where water levels and river levels and things are, it'll determine where we go. I haven't done that in a really, really long time. So it'll be kind of a relearning experience doing that. But I'm really excited about it, and it's something we haven't done as a family.
Yeah.
So I'm really, really stoked about doing that and getting out there and seeing it that time of year.
So that next weekend after that, you'll be at the campground in Moose Pass then?
Correct.
Yeah, so
Yep.
you should load up the twins and come out there, man.
Yeah, so
if you have them, that'd be sweet.
It'll be that's really coincidental because we're doing a relay race, double shovel. It's a fundraiser race, and we're doing it from, I think it's from Eklutna to Seward. So we'll be running right by that with like a motor, people loaded up in a motorhome, and I think the legs are anywhere from like 3 miles to 13 miles.
Oh, okay.
And we're bringing the kids.
Sweet.
So like the whole double shovel family's like, oh yeah, Pax and Peyton are coming, So
Sweet.
Yeah, we'll maybe like my last leg will be right at your campground and
perfect.
Unload the kids and
roll right in for a cold caribou shot.
Yeah,
that would be great.
Do some caribou calls.
Yeah, there'll be 25 kids with open arms, ready to go there. That's just the perfect time for that.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the following weekend. So that is the 25th, the last weekend in June.
Yep.
That will be at the Trail River.
It will be
there, and the Trail River is on the south side of the Kenai Lake there, heading towards Seward. You actually got to take the exit towards Seward, but it is still on the lake, and there's several campgrounds from there all the way into Seward. That are just really great family friendly.
Primrose,
Primrose, Ptarmigan,
Yep.
And even now there's some nice things over there by the glacier.
By exit.
Yep, I heard they've actually made some cool things in there. It used to kind of be rogue style,
the party camping area.
Yeah, but I think they've kind of cleaned it up a little bit, kind of like they did out there in Jim Creek and the Butte, and they kind of made it more designated.
Oh, that's cool.
Style, which is cool. Yep.
Yeah. So go ahead and get a shout out to a sponsor. One of our favorites, Treehouse AK, your one-stop dispensary located at 341 Boniface Parkway. Be sure to ask the bud tender about their deal of the day, because honestly, there's always something good on deck. And guys, listen, this is where the culture lives. At the Treehouse, their dedication to servicing consumers has been developed through a lifetime of involvement in the cannabis culture. They're committed to providing the highest quality products at whatever value your budget affords, while always maintaining the deep-rooted principles that have carried them this far. They're focused on relationships over transactions. You can always depend on them to treat you with the respect you deserve. Hit them up at the treehouseak.com. And as always, please remember, you must be 21 years of age to enter their store. Treehouse AK.
Nice.
Yeah, so June is like I find is one of those months in the summer when we're talking about preparation for stuff. It's packed. I mean, when I was talking about overly doing the pre-scheduled summer weekend thing last year, June's one of those where it just undoubtedly is one that just gets loaded up.
Yep.
And I don't know if it's just because it's like the real first beginning month of summer. Like June, right? Like April is April. It's not a summer month for us. May is like is Alaska's true spring month, is May. Early May, most of the time, none of the lakes are open. Most stuff isn't available. We talked about Memorial Weekend at the end of May. Unfortunately, you're limited to where you can actually go that time of year. Obviously, the Kenai Peninsula is a really popular destination because it's further south. Typically, the lakes are open, the trails are open, there's stuff to do. You go north of, say, Willow, Talkeetna, at that point, there's still snow, there's still ice, some of the lakes are still locked up. You go, say, north of Palmer, Sutton, Chickaloon, going up toward Eureka and Lake Louise, same situation, a lot of snow and ice still. So it kind of limits the South Central community in terms of outdoor access. Mm-hmm. And then even further north into the central, Fairbanks, Tanana area, obviously it's colder. They're in the same boat. They probably are pretty much used to everything being frozen up still. So, June seems to be one of those where I went through the calendar and I'm like, man, I can pretty much put something on there every weekend, but I refrained from doing that completely. One other thing I wanted to throw in, and I did it last year and the year before, and I've been telling you guys about, was the Eklutna Lakeside Trail.
Yeah.
That's a really cool thing that we're going to do in June. We're going to go, we would normally be out kingfishing the Deshka this time of year, but because we just want to change things up, I was just trying to look through my notes here at what date I had that scheduled for.
That's still in June?
Yeah. June the 6th through the 8th, we are going to load up and go back in. There's a really beautiful campground on the head of the lake there. There's an airstrip, and then there's a campground. There's actually 2 campgrounds back there, and we're going to go ahead and get back in there. It's limited access by ATV. I think it's Sunday to Wednesday.
Yep.
The trail's open to ATVs. Folks can look at the Lakeside Trail on the website and take a look at what availability there's. There's different times of year you can hike and mountain bike, then you can ride ATVs. Really cool trail system. They opened up to everybody in Alaska to whatever recreational activities they like to do, but camping in there's really, really fun. And it's just a chill trail. If you got kids with like little dirt bikes or little 4-wheelers,
and it's close to town.
Yeah. And that's something that, if you guys are available that weekend, it's kind of hard, everybody's got stuff going on, but that's a fun one to go.
I don't think we have anything. We might have to line that up with you guys.
Yeah, just something to think about, and it's easy.
So on the days that there's not ATV access, what's the access? Is it bike and hike only?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it is really cool. I mean, there are those days where the ATVs and the bikes and the hikers and runners and everybody's kind of sharing the space together, and it's kind of weird. You kind of feel a certain way when you're like passing by a group of folks that are on mountain bikes, and the trails can be kind of hard in some spots, and you come cruising by, but they have speed limits on the trail, 15 miles per hour, which to some serious ATVers may sound super lame. But
this isn't the rip and roar thing. This isn't, bombing out to the glacier. This is family, slow. I think you even have to have a flag. You got to have. You're supposed to be registered.
You're supposed to be wearing helmets.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And all the, like I said, a lot of hardcores might find that to be kind of lame, but when you go out and do it with your kids, and there's those restrictions, it feels so much safer. Yeah. It just feels better. And, folks, for the most part, aren't coming around that corner at 80 miles an hour, going to smack into you or your kid on the 4-wheeler. And so, but that, as far as just a good ATV back in, set up shop.
Yep.
They got a campground with fire pits. The views are awesome. I think last year I spotted like 12 bears in a day, just glassing around the hills and showing the kids. There was even some rams up on a mountain.
Well, that's right.
And there was actually one that looked like he was legal. He looked like a full curl, and there was a couple different young rams. It was just cool to throw the scope on the mountain and then have my wife and, my 11-year-old and 6-year-old kids are looking there. Oh, wow, you can see the horns. And I was like, yeah. It was just so cool when they saw that for the first time. And
oh, yeah, I bet they're pumped.
Oh, they were. They were like, oh, it was all of a sudden like, it might be boring to one person staring through a scope looking at animals, but they actually thought it was really, really cool and taking turns. And then you can ride up the trail a little further up to the trailhead and hike up to the glacier, and there's goats and sheep and bears, and there's birds. There's so much really cool stuff to do, but that's kind of like a little hidden gem.
Yeah, and you can bring paddle boards or kayaks out there. And,
Yep.
Super cool. You have your buddy land in a plane and say,
yeah. There's planes, they kind of use that airstrip as like practice.
Yep.
Yeah, the touch and goes and stuff, and
yeah,
it's just a lot of really cool things. Just kind of throwing there.
Those kind of intermediate beginner 4-wheeler trails for little kids is still like Monster Truck Bash. Like,
absolutely,
it's a highlight.
And it's not a long ride, but it's enough ride where they get throttle thumb and their little forearms get tired, and it's kind of like they get to really experience a ride where it's chill, but it's really teaching them the initial intermediate riding skills that they need to learn when it's time to go and hit the real stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's beautiful for that. So,
and on the flip side of that, moving into July, I don't think I told you either of you guys, but I'm planning a boys Eureka trip. I know you've come on it before.
Oh man, that's a fun run.
And that's the opposite of the slow family.
That is the other side.
These are 10 to 20 boys out there, riding kind of hard back in Eureka, and we got a nice little Camp 360 spot we like to go to, which we call it, and everyone can camp in there, and we'll load up Friday night and head out to the campsite and stay up till who knows when, and then the next day we do a really, really big ride back in there to as far as we can get in and go around, and maybe, you know, sight in some rifles and do some, you know, more gung-ho, you know, man stuff. And go back and camp at the spot, and the next day, you know, with our tail between our legs, go back home and act like everything was normal.
Yeah.
And so I think this year that's going to happen. I think I have it set, and we got buddies that come up from Washington and things like that want to come do an annual trip like that. And we missed it last year because of the COVID and all that stuff. But I think this year we have it booked for the 9th to the 11th, that weekend, July 9th, 10th, 11th.
Perfect.
So if you guys want to come in on that, and that's just a weekend, Friday after work, roll up, we'll all meet at Eureka, hit the trail late, and, you know, the sun ain't coming down. And get to the campsite at whatever, midnight, and set it up and, you know, do a big rap battle and everyone, you know what I'm saying? And
that rap battle's fun, man.
and do a fire and eat, you know, steaks galore and and then the next day we go right out and run into some caribou and we've been out there where there's been really big herds sometimes.
That's cool.
And we're like, where are they at during hunting season? And we'll go back there and cruise, and that's the set off. It's almost like the transition from the June rafting into that four-wheeling trip with the homies. And, you know, you've been doing like back-to-back family weekends, and then you're like, all right, I need to go out with the moon a little bit here. So that's our initial July thing. And then we have a trip, I think, I don't know if dates are set, but normally in July.
In July. Yeah, we like to, Volcano's good between like mid-June and the water starts getting shallow end of July. So anytime in there is good. We'll get out and do that trip. Take four nights, 5 days to kind of take it slow. Lots of rainbow fishing on the way. Lots of stops for us. And that's just a great trip to get into the interior and float through different forest systems. And you get to see a lot of cool Alaska territory, you know, and you're off the grid, so no cell phones. Always good time with the river madness. Lately, we've been paddleboarding it, so that's been pretty cool to be able to ride on the paddleboard in all your gears on a raft with some other people. But it gives you a little bit more flexibility to pull off and fish different parts of the stream, even if it's just a couple casts. I really enjoy that trip. And when we go, we can usually catch, if the kings are open, the kings are in the water, but we usually target rainbows, catch and release. And then you can always catch grayling right before dinner, cook those things up. Yeah, get some lake trout up on the first day at Paxton Lake.
Yeah, that's when you gotta carve that out, and we should actually really get the date, because now that I actually think about it, I misspoke on the Eureka trip. I think we do that earlier on the 2nd or the 3rd, because normally we now have started doing the Kasugi hiking trip.
The hike, yep.
And that was, I think now it's scheduled for the 16th.
Yeah.
The weekend after, right, is what we're doing.
Right.
So July 16th through the 18th. And the Kasugi Ridge is kind of like a couple's backpacking trip that Brandon and I have done with our wives. It was my first time last year, and you've done it a couple times before that. And that's a cool weekend warrior trip, man. You roll up to, what's the name of the creek there?
Little Cole.
And, you know, it's a good blast up to the top there. And you know, Friday night, and you're blasting up to the top, and you just have this amazing view of Denali.
Oh, man.
And
the best you've ever seen.
I mean, literally the best you've ever seen, because you're just, there's just an unobstructed views. And it's, you just go up there and you make that first ascent to the top, and then the next day you're pretty much shooting across that entire ridge. You know, it's a long, 10 mile, or I want to say.
I think we did like 13.
Yeah, it's a long day.
Your feet are over it by the end of the day.
Yeah, my knee is just throbbed.
Yeah,
by the
I
time
pushed. I pushed you guys pretty hard there toward the end last.
Yeah.
I mean, we had to get to that spot, but
yeah,
I could kind of tell there that last hour was like.
Yeah.
We're ready whenever you are.
and anyone that hasn't done it, I highly recommend that Kasugi trail. And they have it divided where you can start at Cole, and then you can come out to where we come out at Ermine Hill, or you can keep going all the way to Byers. If you want to extend it, or even further.
Yeah,
so you could do like a 2-day or a 3-day or a week, or, you know. Yeah. And you got people, you got crazy. I mean, you got people that run that in like one day.
In a
Ooh,
day.
nice.
You see these runners that are just like, they're just they're just running the whole thing in one day.
Right.
You know, whereas we're just loaded up,
Yeah.
you know, with all the gears and, you know, and that's a really fun trip, and bring the mosquito repellent
Oh,
for
yeah,
sure.
they're out there.
Oh, you
Yeah,
gotta-
especially if it's not windy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
No,
at
it's
least you
bad.
get a little good wind once you get up top there.
Yeah.
But it's just magnificent. Just the view is, every day is just a beautiful view and open area, and you see wildlife, and it's a really cool trip.
So is that in the park?
No, not quite. Not quite. It's just south. I mean, literally on the line, just south of it. It is. Oh, man, I want to say it's like, if you're looking at the map, it's just like right.
You're
on the
parallel
line, right?
parking.
Yeah.
parallel
Is
parking.
Yeah,
is
you
the
are.
line the highway?
The other side is, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other side would be
Is
would
the
be-
park, right?
Yeah, would be the west side.
Yeah.
Of the highway. And luckily for us, knock on wood, beautiful piece of wood here, that the views are going to be good for us this year. Because if you look online and look at reviews, some folks, you know, it was a lifelong bucket list hike, and they get up there and like, oh man, there was a fog bank or clouds or something. I didn't even get to see the mountain.
Yeah.
And then there's like, oh man, the whole time I was up there, I saw the mountain every day. And
Yeah. And I'll put up some pictures on the
Yeah.
YouTube of this,
Yeah.
of our trip on that, because there's some really cool
oh man,
shots of Denali, and
badass. And you meet some really cool people along the way and listen to their experiences and how they do the hike, how they do the logistics. And
people go from Cole to Ermine, or the other way from Ermine, or
Yep.
Byers all the
Yep.
way. So you have a lot of different options there, and I'd say it's, you know, fair to moderate. It's not sheep hunting. It's you know,
no, man. It's
you could even we even saw some people with some kids and stuff
Yeah.
out there. You know, if your kids are in their early teens, 10, 12,
yeah, I'd
I'd
say
say
12 would be a good. I mean, there's people with younger kids, but if you want to have fun for everybody,
Yeah.
they need to have a little bit of gumption and carry some weight, and you know, kind of embrace the suck a little bit.
yeah,
You know,
Yeah.
when it gets to that point.
Just bring that candy.
Yeah, right. Just
Yeah.
keep-
Just bait
them up.
Hansel Gretel style with gummy bears.
yeah.
I heard a good
Yeah.
story about that this morning.
yeah. Actually, pretty soon, I think our older kids will want to.
Oh, yeah.
go on
Yeah.
that trip. You know, once they're ready to carry their backpack with kind of their own little gear and
Yeah.
their sleeping bag, and you know, no more complaining that you got to hike.
Mm-hmm.
We'll probably have to break it up a little.
The only issue is like my wife doesn't want no kids to come.
It has become like a trip where we go
Yeah.
and we bring wine, and you know, we're packing wine and stuff up there,
Hell
and
yeah.
so it's
Charcuterie plates.
charcuterie. It's just
Yeah.
full fancy
No, it's-
pantsy. You know,
It's not like roughing it. I mean, it's backpacking. It's, you know, primo. The wine is the move. I
The
don't
green
think
meat. You're not bringing the green meat.
no green meat.
No, there's no meat, but
No.
you know, we make it work. We bring all Heather's choice meals, and you know, we bring all the good food and good snacks, and
Yeah.
it ends up
Packaroons.
being all of it.
Macaroons.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking about Heather's Choice, maybe we should talk about that, because when this comes out, I mean, people are starting now to plan
Yeah.
for these type of things, and get your meals. And I know we discussed this before on how, you know, sometimes you go to look for your favorite, you know, meal or whatever, and it's not there.
Yeah.
You know,
You gotta go get it right now, man.
Yeah.
All the shelves are full.
so basically, you know, we have an affiliation deal with Heather. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna provide this link on our website, and we'll blast it on our social media, where people can go to heatherschoice.com through our link and get 15% off
Nice.
of her meals.
That's right. Or if they don't even want to go onto the website, they can just go to her website and enter code Alaska Wild to get that 15% off. So that you can either click the link on our page or go to her site and enter Alaska Wild, and you get 15% off. You're supporting her business directly, and it also supports our podcast by doing that.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. So you go there and make your order that you want to do, and it says apply code or whatever. You put in Alaska Wild, and you're going to get that discount, and you're eating healthy, and you're supporting Heather, and you're supporting us. I mean,
Yeah. That's awesome.
it's
man.
really great. So we're already lining up like all the things that we're going to do. And as you said the other day, how you start loading buying all that stuff now. I think that's the move to do.
Yeah.
You got to, man.
I'm just going to place an order of, 40 of those things so that we're ready to go, because I definitely want to have that bison chili she has. And Alexia was really screaming about an African peanut stew. I think she has that I haven't been able to find, all the times I go, because it's sold out.
It's always gone. Yep.
So go ahead and go to Heather's Choice and load up on your gears. And that stuff, it doesn't go bad. I mean, you could buy it now. It's good for 10 years, 20 years. I don't know what the date is.
A long time. And put in Alaska Wild and get your discount and support. Yeah, thanks to Heather for doing that for us.
Yeah,
that was really nice of her to come through, and all these local businesses, what they're doing for us is great, and it's just one more step to, all of us being successful with this.
We need to make Heather a shirt. We heard about the Bird Creek Brewing shirt. Beer is just not what for breakfast anymore. We need to make one that's Heather's Choice. It's not just for breakfast anymore.
It's not Brandon's breakfast anymore.
It's not Brandon. Yeah.
Unless you want to hit the 911 and get me medevaced out of there.
Son, that's Daniel's breakfast now.
Oh my gosh, man.
Oh man! The people that maybe don't know, we did have Heather come in on a previous episode. Go back and give that one a listen, and we talk about some of the allergies that Brandon had, and I got lucky.
Why he got to eat all of Heather's food?
Yeah, you're not going to snipe any of those from me on our sheep hunt this year. So
I'm gonna be loaded up. Yeah, I'm gonna be stocked and ready to go.
You can take a lot of Heather's packages. We talked about they're small and they pack just the same amount of punch as a big meal, but. So we got through May, June, July, through the summer. I mean, we could really rabbit hole on this conversation for hours on end about the intricate details of each trip and what everybody's going to do, right? I definitely want to know what's going on with that Golcana.
Yeah. I'll get with Jack and we'll set a date because, we got the Kasugi. We have that boys trip thing.
Yeah. I have some tentative dates written down. Well, we can wrap about when we want to go.
Yeah. And that's one we got to do. We missed last year, and what we did last year was we did almost the majority of the Kenai River. We started up at the lake at the bridge and went all the way through Jim's, through the canyon, across Ski Lac, back in through Mid, all the way to Bing's, and we kind of just did a closer to home, shorter trip. I mean, somewhat shorter, and that was awesome. I'd never gone through that canyon.
Oh, the canyon
after Jim's. I mean, you got to have a motor, to get from. I guess you don't have to if you want to ore, but I highly suggest you get a motor.
If the weather comes in bad,
dude.
you could be in big trouble with those cliffs there.
Shit. Screw that, dude.
Poor idea.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know people that done. I saw people that were actually doing it.
Oh my god, dude!
And at least one motor, and you can maybe connect another raft with the rope and pull all the way to the opening on the south side of Ski Lac there, and go on and hit that Rainbow Alley and and do that, and that's so we did that. Yeah. So the Golcana is definitely going to happen this year for sure. Any other July? Action.
Yeah, so I like Drift Boat Mondays down on the Kenai for Kinks.
Oh man,
so
sweet.
I'm going to spend some time doing that.
Is that catch and release for those?
It just depends what's going on.
Yeah,
but that's the late run is what I'm talking about in July.
Right.
So typically it's open, and then at some point bait opens. But that's just a fun day on the drift boat, and not as many people are on the water. You're not allowed to fish with motors that day. So pretty cool. And if you have the flexibility to do it. And then battling a big Kenai king, hooking into these huge ones that you never even see in a drift boat is really fun. It's a great fight. So we're going to do that. Then I really enjoy the Middle River Reds. You get the Russian River Reds are fun. They're small. Yeah. But you get some shoulders on those, the late run Kenai Reds. Man. And typically I just kind of wait until it opens to 6 per day, 12 in possession, and do an overnight float. From Lower Ski Lac and take out at Binks. And, just over the years as dip netting has come into fashion and become a crazy madness, the Middle River, which used to be much busier, is pretty calm for red fishing that time of year, relatively. Yeah. And so it's actually really nice. And there's some really awesome camp spots there, the good views. And then, they had the fires down there.
the homie Wes has a cabin now in the middle.
No.
Yes.
Ooh.
So now it's like, okay, we're gonna have
You're
to
hunting
stop.
homie Wes for
Yeah.
the meat parties?
Yeah. So he just told me because I've been on the search for a big cabin, and he told me he's
Right.
pulled the trigger on one that I was looking at, and it's right in the middle. So it's like he's like, well, obviously he's gonna be there every weekend.
Yeah.
Good move, Wes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good
We're
for
coming
him.
west.
Those are hard to get your hands on, dude.
Yeah. So one of those Mondays, that's really cool, and that's an off day to go do
Yeah.
that
I've
trip.
always been envious of the drift boat Kingfisher guy. I've done the Eagle Rock drifting with the motorboat a few times, and that's madness too. Oh my goodness, you want to talk about combat fishing on a boat? That's like you don't even know until you do go do it. Like you're literally elbow to elbow on a boat,
Yeah.
which is
Insane.
Oh,
kind of
it's
wonder how that's
crazy.
even possible, but it's possible. And then that Monday when it calms down, it's like, oh man, that's got to be just peaceful. And
Yeah.
then fighting a king on a drift boat, that's got to be a whole nother level of badass. So
Yeah. It just, without the motor running and,
Yeah,
you're floating down the
quiet,
river,
yeah.
it just brings a kind of a different environment and, like, I don't know, tranquility to it. It's really nice.
Yep.
I really enjoy that. And so do the people that sit in the front of the boat, It's just a quiet day. And sometimes you hook into one or two big fish. And some days you just have an awesome day on the water, quiet, no traffic.
Yeah. It's well worth it.
Yeah. So we'll do that. And then just playing in the sound. I want to do some paddleboarding out there.
Great
and
month
then
for that.
there's some awesome hikes. So to get back into some of these valleys that have granite is cool. I want to check out Cedar Bay this year. So that's the furthest cedar trees, furthest cedar trees in the world. So that would be super
Is that
cool.
on mainland? Or
Yep,
is it-
in mainland. Yep, it's between Whittier and Valdez.
Okay.
About halfway, kind of close to that walrus colony. Go check out that, and then I want to target lean cod. I'm not sure if I've ever told you that before, but we're gonna find those pinnacles someday.
Yeah.
And So I think July is going to be a
Yeah,
real
man.
fun month. And the other
Yeah.
thing that July ends with is, it's like that first week of August, but is Salmon Fest. And Salmon Fest is awesome, and it's on again. So I brought the kids to that when they were 3.
Yeah.
And now that they'll be 5, I think I'm going to bring them back down and listen to some music and just have a cool festival weekend. We don't get to do a lot of that. We're out harvesting or doing some, and it's just a different kind of feeling there and supporting Alaska wild fish.
Yeah. Do they have a date on that?
They do.
All right, let's look it up real quick. I want to say
It's
that is like the
August
first
6th
weekend of
through
August.
8th.
Okay. Wow, man.
That's right up against some other dates that are important, but very fun time. That
Yeah, that's. I think that's why I haven't been able to make it. That's always like prime. You're getting
Yeah.
into the hunting time and the shoot
Yep.
time, and
Yep.
if you get one of those youth tags for the caribou, you're out
That's what
there.
we talked
and
about, man.
It's
But
just not enough. We need to add some more weekends.
I know. I mean, August, we're looking at this map, and we're not even going to go really into August because we all have hunting trips planned. It's like all of August becomes now hunting, like September did.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, well, so my summer months are like 2 months,
Yeah, that's it.
you know? And yeah,
It's a whirlwind.
it is. The one thing that going to be all over the place here, God Bless America 4th of July weekend is in July. I know we didn't even mention that. We don't have to go into crazy detail. Daniel, you joined us last year out at the Wits.
Yep, and I would
Property,
love to go out there to the Wits.
Your boys love that trip with all the kids and the swimming, and it'd be cool for Jack and his kids to come out and check it out. I mean, they got a very unique, really cool property out there in the Big Lake area. That's just
That's
totally sick, man.
That's tough too.
I
That's
know,
on the
I know.
weekend, too. It's like, man, where are we gonna squeeze that in? That's one you got to do too. That's
I have to do it. Like I don't even
Yeah.
have a choice. That's just something that the family's doing. But that's always something to keep on the radar.
yeah, and I think that was the first time I didn't work on 4th of July.
It is,
literally
it
in like
is.
25
It
years.
is that. Yeah, you
Because
like compromised.
4th of July is one of the biggest hot dog days of the year.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, you're not going to be open on 4th of July. Like,
Yeah. You gotta,
and there's
you gotta
festivals,
decide.
and I think now again this year they'll have the downtown park strip thing, and we're there, and we're at our regular spot there on 4th Avenue, and we'll see we'll see. I mean, we'll get the employees lined up and just say, hey, I'm out.
Well, if anything, Alexi and the boys come out, they camp. If you can squeeze a night, you just come out after you're done, and we'll have cold caribou calls ready for you when you get out there, and just, make the best of it.
And that's a cool thing, too, that, a lot of these trips, the wives can just go with the kids, and, once they get trained up, and there's some obviously we should get into the tips and tricks on another pod on having your cook kit all settled and your camping box all settled.
I'd love to talk about that.
And I have, all the sleeping and stuff all in dry bags, so everything's just like just like
turnkey setup.
And it just makes the planning easier, so you're just the same deal every single time. And like you said, I mean, we're only going up until July. We'll have to have a different podcast to talk about the hunting season in August and September, and go from there.
Conversation.
So that's
maybe divide it up in like seasons. So do the summer one, a fall one, a winter, and then spring.
Okay,
I like that. That's a really good idea. Yeah, one thing, we're kind of running short. We wanted to have a pretty good timeline on our conversation today, but one thing I wanted to bring up, and we'll have a conversation later, or maybe we can shed some light on this, is there's a women's derby, silver derby down in Valdez. And year after year after year, I've wanted to do it. As you know, my cousin and I, we share our boat together, and he lives down there, and he brings it up a lot. My Aunt Lynn, his mom, brings it up a lot. And the problem is it conflicts with early season sheep hunting, and so it just gets into that time. But that's something that, there's a big derby down in Valdez that's for women. It promotes women fishing and getting them out there and catching silvers. And
that's cool, man. I haven't been to Valdez, and I don't think I've taken my kids yet.
I know it's kind of off the wall, mention, but it's something that I've been thinking about and trying to figure out a way to factor it into all the limited time. Any way I could just take the whole summer off. Would be really cool, because then I could just do all this stuff and report back all the most epic shit you ever heard. But unfortunately, they're just
someone make me an offer on the hot dog business so I can have the whole summer off.
I'm telling you. But anyway, I don't know the name of the derby. Didn't come with a lot of information on that. I just thought I'd throw that out there. That's something that's really cool going on. Obviously, there's a derby in Seward and stuff going on there that we didn't get a chance to touch on too much. But we'll get August and September, October, and covered here in the podcast to come. So tune in later, and you'll get your information on that. So
if you haven't gone to the website yet, alaskawildproject.com, check that out. The code for Heather's Choice is Alaska Wild. Go ahead and go purchase some of her stuff. Leave us a review on the Apple. Check us out on Spotify. Watch the videos on YouTube. Subscribe. All that stuff really helps us as we're trying to grow this Alaska brand for everyone and educate you guys. And we will be videoing a lot of these trips that we're doing so that people can kind of get a visual of, things that we're doing. So thanks for listening, guys. We appreciate you. We appreciate you, Alaska.
Yep.
And we'll see you next week.
See you then.
You remember my speaking to you of what I call your overcautiousness. Are you not overcautious when you assume that you cannot do what the enemy is constantly doing?
Total Truck Accessory Center. Go check them out at 7700 Homer Drive. They're your one-stop shop for canopies, spray-in bed liners, LED light bars, and more. Total Truck.
TheTreehouseAK.com. Located at 341 Boniface Parkway. They're your all-in-one cannabis and CBD store. Ask the bartender today what the strain of the day is to get your 10% off.
Lawn Pro AK, your year-round professional property maintenance. Cutting lawns, but not cutting quality. Hit them up at lawnproak.com.
Double Shovel Cider Company, located off of Arctic and 58. Handcrafted, Alaskan-made cider. They also got a tap room downtown on the corner of 5th and E. Check them out, doubleshovelcider.com.
Anchortown Dogs, located across from the 4th Avenue Theater in front of the historical building. Look for the blue and gold umbrella. Get yourself a legit reindeer dog.
Tailored Restoration, helping Alaskans restore their dreams. Voted #1 in the state since 1972. Water restoration, fire restoration, remodeling, cleaning, anything that you have to do with your home, inside and outside, give those guys a call or check out tailoredrestoration.com.